Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. I've got an interesting set of guitars that I don't think a lot of people even realize existed. But first, let's put things into perspective. The year 2015. Definitely a controversial one for Gibson, because across the entire lineup, so many things changed. This is the second year of fret nibs being gone. We have a wider neck profile with a new nut type. We've got the Les Paul 100 silkscreen instead of Les Paul model. We've got the hologram on the back. And many models had robo-tuners. People at the time didn't really like this. Now, there's a few people who have warmed up to the specs of these instruments, but generally they're kind of the black eye of Gibson history. And even if you jumped up to the custom shop, things weren't quite right here either, because from 2012 to 2019, Gibson just could not use ebony on most of their models. Now, that doesn't mean there's not a few limited editions here or there, but we had Richlight replacing it for many, so there's still people yet today that hate Richlight fretboards because it's not full-on wood. Now, I've had enough of them to know that I actually like them after they've been played in for a couple of years, but it's not traditional, and that's why 2015 is a very scary year for many people. But that's the exact year that Sweetwater started their own new, modern Les Paul custom, and that's the series I'd like to talk about today. And it starts with this one. Gibson Custom Sweetwater Les Paul Modern Custom in Silver Sparkle Flamed Maple Neck. So I got this idea for this video because I actually had somebody who was purchasing one of these and wanted to get my thoughts and opinions on it. And prior to that session, I had not seen one of these. I had saw the other ones that we'll talk about later on, but this is the first one that they birthed in 2015. Sweetwater is like, so regular Les Paul customs aren't quite what people want nowadays, so let's try to spec these things differently. So first off here, we have a beautiful silver sparkle finish. We have chrome hardware with historically spec'd ABR1 bridge, and it's got a set of custom bucker pickups. And these custom buckers also featured coil splitting abilities with push-pull pots to make it more versatile, and one of the tone pots was also for out of phase for the middle position. As far as all the binding layers, everything's the same there. But if you zoom in on our fretboard here, that's not ebony, because again, they couldn't really do ebony on most things. This has a very dark rosewood fretboard. Okay, so that's kind of interesting, but you still have your regular custom block inlays. The headstock looks about the same as always. That's kind of an interestingly strange beast, but what makes this so modern? Well, you flip it over to the back and you've got this. It's a 5-piece flame maple neck, extremely flamed, but yet the back is also a silver sparkle finish. This was such a weird blending of specs. Because I think we can all agree, the body, very traditional. But the neck being a natural and a flamed finish, and having the rosewood board makes this kind of a freaky anomaly of a whole bunch of mashed up specs. Now apparently there were only like a handful of these things made. We're talking like between 2 and 5. However, since this didn't get talked about a lot, there's really no way to verify the stories. But I think we can all agree this one is definitely an oddball, kind of an ugly duckling, but beautiful at the same time. Beautifully ugly is how I would put it. The natural wood figuring of the neck with a sparkle finish, which you don't normally get. But from here, Sweetwater got the idea that, yeah, this modern custom thing, maybe we didn't spec it out exactly correctly the first time. So they went back to the drawing board and came up with 3 additional designs. But before we get to those, let's have a word from our sponsor today. Hey, this is a very natural integration for the Sweetwater sponsorship. If you're not familiar with Sweetwater, that is a place to buy all of your stuff, from guitars, studio and recording, drums, percussion, bass, microphones, DJ equipment, band and orchestra, accessories. They can get it to you in just a matter of a couple of days. My favorite thing about their website is clicking the guitars and being able to shop for whatever one you want. So like, here's a 50 standard. You can look, okay, maybe I like this top better than that one, or that one's 9 pounds 2 ounces, whereas that one's a little under 9. All very pertinent details, and it's nice to have some choices when you're spending $2,800. It's not just luck at the draw. And hey, sometimes they even have some pretty good demo savings, which comes in handy when I want to review and document some guitars. You can also join their monthly giveaways. I have a link in the description. Thank you, Sweetwater, for continuing to sponsor my show, and let's get back to Sweetwater. So our next designs, I'm going to try to present them in the order that I believe they came out in, but it's possible I'm wrong. I do know that the original silver one retailed around $5,000 brand new, whereas these new ones were around $7,500. But they decided instead of the silver sparkle finish, let's go beautiful flame figuring and natural. And that's what we have right here. Stunningly flame top, natural finish, it is the exact opposite of what that last one was, a hodgepodge of parts. This time, we've got a regular gold hardware coming back, still have the historic ABR1 bridge, we still have the fancy in and out of phase push-pull pot right here, as well as the coil splitting on the custom buckers. We have cream plastic. It's still a rosewood fretboard that matches really well with the side profile of this guitar because it's a natural mahogany body. You flip it over to the back, and again, you have the same complementary colors here. Very dark walnut, 3-piece flame maple, and then you get the 2 skunk stripes running down the neck as well. And the headstock's still pretty basic. But this definitely caught people's attention a little bit more so. But due to the flame tops, the prices increased about $2,500 on these to around $7,500 if I remember correctly. And it's also at that time that they renamed it a little bit more appropriately, the Modern Beauty. So what was the next one within the series? I believe it was Bengal Burst. Again, it's got all the same specs, but this time we have a beautiful Bengal Burst finish. This one's even a little bit less jarring between the top, back, and sides because it's just that all-natural cherry color. But now we have the contrast of the maple neck here. So the back is just the nice cherry color, and then you have the exposed 3-piece maple neck with the 2 walnut stripes going down it. Judging by our serial number, this particular one was done for 2016. Again, I'm not quite sure how many of these Bengal Bursts they made, but I'm guessing they sold through a decent amount of them. Finding these things on the used market is actually quite difficult. And out of the entire series, pretty sure this is the only one that I've actually seen show up, on the used market, or at least that's been documented by Reverb. You can tell this one definitely has a little bit more of a bordered edge to it. But interesting choice having the amber top hat knobs on this one. That's not what you normally see on a Les Paul Custom. But something else to keep in mind, the Rosewood fretboard still there, 2016 guys, but the hues of this match really well with this finish. And the other thing that makes these extra modern is the fact that they came stock with locking Grover tuners. And now we have the last one within this series, and this is the one I'm the most familiar with, and you probably are too. If you go to Sweetwater's website, you just type in whatever you're looking for, you're going to see this banner get used a lot. This is the guitar, the Modern Beauty 70s Tobacco Burst. These were actually done up a few years after the other ones, around 2019. So we're almost back to ebony fretboards, but just not quite. Prior to doing some other research, I thought this was the only version of the Modern Beauty. So that's why I wanted to make this video to share that, yeah, there were 3 before that. That kind of makes some interesting collectibles, but not very many of these things were made. And unfortunately, they don't have any cool Sweetwater branding or a specific name like the Sam Ash exclusives, Cobra Burst and Black Widow. But let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So also super flamed out, has the cream plastics, has all the fancy electronics, custom bucker pickups again with the ABR1 bridge, but this time a more 70s inspired finish. And I always thought these things were absolutely gorgeous. However, back then, $7,500 was a lot for a Gibson. Most customs did not sell for that much. And I think I actually remember seeing one of these in a display shop when I was visiting Sweetwater buying the new 2019 guitars at that time. But back then, people were like, rosewood fretboard on a custom, that's strange. This is also the era when they did maple fretboards as well, because some people, they just wanted the real wood on it. And dealers were having a hard time selling people on Richlight. But this one had a dark back and the same flame figured necks. So I'd be really curious, which one is your favorite? Is it the weird sparkle crystal ball with the flames on the back? Or is it the 70s inspired one right here, or somewhere in between? Or maybe you prefer the one I didn't talk about. Apparently there was at least one ebony version, likely birthed around the same time as that silver one. I could not find any old listings on Sweetwater's website about that one, but you can see it in their video right here, when Mitch Gallagher was demoing one of these. For me, it's the one I saw first, the 70s Tobacco Burst. It's got its own interesting thing going on, but I really started to like that more red-hued one as well, now that I know it exists. However, I think in a traditional sense, I'm sure a lot of people prefer that natural one because, the colors, they don't quite clash as much. But as far as the ugly duckling weird one of the whole group, I kind of like the crystal ball one because it's who would think to spec it out like that? But because of that weird model, we birthed these other 3 from Sweetwater. So I'd be curious to see, will Sweetwater make another installation of their Modern Beauty series? I mean, if we're being here, it was kind of replaced with the Les Paul Modern, or the high performance guitars of the era, because it's utilizing pretty much the same electronics, just maybe different pickups, and it's in a custom shop guitar, and hopefully hand wired and not on a PCB system, but who knows, I haven't torn one apart, and all the specs have been the same. But now that we actually have something called the Les Paul Modern, it kind of makes it hard for them to use the custom Modern Beauty, unless maybe they want to do an access heel carve, but then we're going to lose the back binding. So only time will tell if they do another installation to this series. So the only thing left to figure out about these Modern Beauties is how do they sound? Take it away, Mitch. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode and you learned about some new guitars. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.